I hope this is bright enough. I hope you're getting at least like a key light, but if not, we'll figure it out next week. But real quick, can we just chill on Christmas right now? Like, do we get a break from the fact that I haven't recovered from this Halloween hangover and y'all are already shoving Christmas down my throat? Do we not get a holiday for the food enjoyers of the group? A time to at least prep for Thanksgiving? No? Can we talk about that? Not this episode, but later. What you guys really came here for is a segment that nobody asked for, where I review a movie. So roll the intro.
They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression. It's all that I wanted. The phone in affection. I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through them.
Welcome back to another episode of the Problems on Problems podcast. I am your host, Mike Santi. And this week, like I said already, a segment that nobody asked for. And I don't think anyone's going to ask for after this, but open segment, we'll call it that, untitled movie problems. Mike's review on movies. And this week is going to be Dune. And not this week. This time around is going to be Dune, where, let's just say this. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's keep the thing moving. It's a lot to unpack. But I would say, spoiler alert, for anybody that's about to listen to this and you haven't seen Dune yet, in which case skip to timestamp whatever I put in here, and you won't have to worry about any of the spoilers. But if you're gonna listen, spoilers are coming. Dune, not Doom like the video game. I thought it was that, but Dune is based off of the Frank Herbert novel, where, I don't know, you follow the journey of this young guy, Paul, played by Timothée Chalamet. And he's this gifted young dude who has all these powers and all this other stuff, kind of pretentious. We'll get into that never. And that's really it. My recap of it is 2 hours and 35 minutes of a glaring hot desert planet in which Timmy Chalamet. He has visions of Zendaya for 2 hours and 35 minutes, only for us to actually see her in the last 5 minutes of the movie. And that's a whole other issue in itself. But yeah, that's basically the movie to me. You start off on, basically, you get the history of whatever happens, 10,000, blah, 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 which is really 20,000 years past current times. There's a space council or something like that, led by this emperor. You find out about this, you start off on this, the planet of Arrakis. And it's basically a desert, but Arrakis is rich in spice. What's that, you say? Are my colonized ears deceiving me? More people are looking for spices. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. And the Fremen? Yeah, the Fremen are the people that live in Arrakis, and they're basically enslaved to mine all this spice by the Harkonnens, which, if you don't know what a Harkonnen is, basically think of Batista's character from Guardians of the Galaxy and make a whole race of them. And that's basically what they are. And they are these slave drivers that mine spice up until the emperor of the Space Council. Basically, I don't know how. Some war or something like that. Some galactic decree makes them stop what they're doing and to leave Arrakis. Now, in comes the House Atreides, Paul's house, Timothée Chalamet's house, also Oscar Isaac, other characters. There's a lot of people in this movie. I'm not going to keep track of how many actors are in this, but let's just, for this part of the synopsis, we're just going to say that's all the people that matter. House Atreides, played by all these people. They live on a great planet. Why would you ever want to leave this planet? I don't know. Maybe the Emperor tells you that you got to go leave this planet to go to Arrakis to mine more spice. But in a humane way, not like the way the Harkonnens did it. You find out along all this stuff that Paul, Timmy, same person, They inherited this gift from their mother, who's still there, but she's not married to the guy that's Oscar Isaac's character, who's the head of the House of Atreides. We're not going to get into that part. It's a lot of weird romance dynamics. But basically, dad, mom have this kid, and Mans has the gift of what's called the voice. His mom trains him in it all the time, and basically it allows you to command people or to speak to people at the frequency of their commands. So you can make them do anything if you get your voice to the right frequency. And so his mom, being part of this, I guess, weird culty thing called the Bene Gesserit, they have this gift of the voice. She passes it down to Paul. Paul's trying to hone it, get better at it, all that other stuff. He's then met by this old lady that's like the mother or something. Listen, don't worry about it. Go watch the movie. Met by this lady who basically summons him to the library of their house because she comes on this trip with a message from the Emperor. And she has my man put his hand into a box, basically the equivalent of like a bullet ant glove, and holds this deadly poisonous needle to him and says like, yo, don't move or it's going to be curtains for you. Bad times. Hey, in this box, a lot of pain. Man is like gasping, crying, all this stuff. Mom can hear his moans and groans of pain. Eventually, lady lets him take his hand out of the box. He's out here, his hand's all like blistered and everything like that. But hey, he passes the test. Some weird ass test that this old lady has. I'm not even going to get into that part. So then, he's been having these visions of Zendaya the entire time. Old lady asks him after he passed the test. Old lady asks him, hey, what about these visions? He's like, nah, it's nothing. I just be seeing things. Totally downplays it because obviously he doesn't trust this woman anymore. And so you fast forward to them going onto the planet of Arrakis. And by that time, apparently the Bene Gesserit have been spreading rumors as to this, what's it called? A lisan al-Gaib, which translates to, in whatever language they're speaking in this, translates to the prophet or the Messiah. Take it for what you will. They're referring to Paul, and they're like, hey, he's merged these two houses together. He's got these powers. He's really good at this, yada, yada. He must be the chosen one that everyone's talking about. And a little skeptical about that, but we'll talk about that later. Mind you, Paul's dad thinks that this is basically a suicide mission. Like, he doesn't trust that the Emperor's sending them there to do any good. He kind of thinks that this is like the downfall of the House of Atreides. And so, Freddy foreshadowing. Fast forward to the fucking attack in which the Harkonnen, given the green light by the Emperor, are allowed to then ambush the Atreides or House Atreides when they're on this desert planet. They infiltrate their shields. They start taking out all their dudes. They start imagine Pearl Harbor, but in space. I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, that's basically what's happening. Ships are flying into ships on the ground are getting blown up. Ships in the air are getting blown up. People are getting assassinated left and right. Paul and his mom get kidnapped, which they later escape because Paul uses his voice to at least free up his mom, who has a way more powerful voice, gets them out of Dodge, and they're scooped up by Jason Momoa, who is the head of security for House Atreides. How convenient. By the way, Mans goes crazy, kills a bunch of people. He alone, true Dothraki warrior, even though it's not a thing in space, but we move on. So get to all that stuff. Then they're hanging out at this base. They find out some more shit, everything that's going on. Oscar Isaac's character, dead. No surprise there, because Emperor basically said, hey, don't touch the mom and the kid. Let them fend for themselves in the desert. Which, for those of you that don't know, the desert has giant sandworms. These sandworms are, I don't know, if you know what sandworms are, they're not that. There's basically these giant vacuum hoses with teeth that can basically swallow like city blocks. And they roam through this desert. They follow the vibrations, and the Fremen have mastered how to move in a way that is natural to the sand rolling across the dunes so they don't get detected. But if you're a foreigner, like Paul and his mom, you're going to get detected. And so when they're chilling at this base, the Harkonnen find out where they're at, bust into this base. Jason Momoa sacrifices himself to try and buy time for them to get the F out of there. Paul and mom get out of there. which then they crash their little dragonfly chopper thing into the desert, and they're chilling there, basically awaiting their fate, trying to survive. And what do you know? There's more spice. And spice makes Spice makes Paul's character, or Paul, the character, act up, have more visions. He's allergic to it for some reason. Great, you're on a planet full of it. But yeah, so he gets past all that. Basically, at that point in time, when his mom and himself are about to die, they get rescued by the Fremen, which it's not like a real rescue, because then you're like, oh, these people are still hostile towards outsiders. But the leader of this group recognizes Paul from a time back when he and his dad were talking to him about the Fremen. How convenient. So he is cool with it. There's another guy who's like antsy and like all upset and all that stuff, doesn't trust outsiders, who's like hell-bent on at least like killing both of them, to which the leader of the group says like, yo, chill, calm down, we're not doing that. And he says, yo, I'm offended by this woman, blah blah blah, I need to duel her. She's not going to duel, she needs a champion. Paul's the champion. Paul is ridiculously skilled at fighting, just so you know. So they're about to fight. In the midst of the fight, Paul gets thrown up against some rocks, and then boom, would you look at that, it's Zendaya. She's been a part of this crew of sand wanderers for God knows how long, and she's finally in the movie. This is 2 hours plus into the movie that she finally shows up in something that's not a vision. And so Paul is basically toying with this man at this point. Like, he is so much better at fighting with weapons, fighting in general, but he's just never killed anybody, and eventually he has to kill this dude to be accepted by the Fremen, and so that he and his mom can continue living on in the desert, at least safely for now. To which then cut to them walking across the desert and the movie ending, and I'm like, excuse me? I sat through 2.5 hours for 5 minutes of Zendaya, and all I got was that this very malnourished teenager acts up when he snorts spice. That doesn't sound special, but I will say film-wise, I'm going to give it like an 8 out of 10. I don't even know what my ranking system is right now. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I'm definitely going to watch the second part because I need to figure out what happens. Plus, I feel like I was robbed in the fact that I thought there was going to be more Zendaya. So take that for what you will. But we'll take a break. We'll get the wrap-up done, and we'll get you guys out of here. We'll talk about your choices of what you say in bed, and we'll get you ready for the weekend.
P.O.P.
And we're back with the great debate. Last week, we asked you, whose name would you rather say in bed? Your ex's name or your significant other's best friend's name? And 77% of you said ex's name. And I choose to be on your side. You guys already know how I feel. I think it's a lot better of a situation. It's a lot more reasonable of a situation. A small portion of you guys chose violence and decided to go with your significant other's best friend's name in bed, to which you know what? Live your life, living your truth. I don't want to be a part of that. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm not doing that. I've already thought of all the scenarios that could just pop up and why that would be more questions and more doubt. And I don't want to deal with that. So let's not deal with that. Like the backlash. Okay. Yeah, the backlash from saying your significant other best friend's name. That's wild. I would much rather, like I said last week, take my chances with saying the ex's name, even though I'm not going to say names in bed. But yeah, that's crazy to me. But this week's a little bit more different in the sense that I'm just going to ask y'all, would you rather be famous on the internet or famous in real life? And I know you're thinking, yes, they're the same thing, but they're kind of different in the sense that there are some people that are famous on the internet that have been famous under like a brand or a persona that can then go on about their lives and not really have to deal with the celebrity that comes with being in real life. A couple of people that come into mind immediately are the gamer Dream, who has a bunch of TikTok and Minecraft kind of things, very famous, millions and millions and millions of views, which definitely relates to dollars. And nobody really knows what he looks like. Corpse Husband, another gamer that nobody really knows what they look like. But yeah, imagine, I don't know, being famous on the internet for either posting educational videos or TikToks or something like that, not having your face in front of the camera, and being able to collect all that money and kind of move on about your life without anybody really knowing who you are, compared to Hollywood celebrity status, A through D list, if you want to consider that, where you don't really go anywhere without people noticing who you are. A to B list celebrities. Without people noticing, or yeah, you don't really go anywhere without people noticing who you are. There's always paparazzi around. Think of the Kim Kardashians of the world. Things like that, where literally every move is kind of captured by a camera of some sort. So, would you rather be famous on the internet or famous in real life? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the polls, and we'll talk about it next week probably. But with that brings us to our Friday follows. The first one is going to go to Queen City FC. For those of you that don't know, Charlotte has a lot of soccer teams. That's all you need to know. Charlotte has a lot of soccer teams. It's about time we got an MLS team, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Queen City FC playing in the UPSL. And for those of you that are local, they have 2 regular season home games left, I believe, with one of them being Saturday against Riverside FC. Is that true? Nope. River City FC. But catch them this Saturday, November 6th, against River City FC. And our next follow goes to Calle Sol Cafe. Now, let me get the vitals out of the way, in that Calle Sol Cafe is your neighborhood Latin cafe and grill in Plaza Midwood. And gosh, if you go there and they still have this on the menu, you need to get the vaca frita. It's significantly better than a lot of things you're ever going to eat in your life, but it gives you a very tropical Hispanic cuisine feel. Make sure you go follow them at Calle Sol Cafe on Instagram. If I didn't say this already, make sure you go follow Queen City FC at Queen City FC on Instagram. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the Problems on Problems YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Problems on Problems Podcast on Instagram, at Problems_pod on Twitter. And per usual, follow your boy at Mike Santy 18 on all social media. But like I always say, guys, if it's not a good time, hope it's a good story, and I will see you next week.